Racist Karen attacks black female pilot. The aftermath will leave you speechless. Some moments in life stick with you forever. They leave a mark, a lesson, something that changes the way you see the world. What I witnessed that day at the airport was one of those moments. It showed me how ugly and cruel racism can be, but it also showed me something even more powerful: resilience, grace, and strength in the face of hate. It was a busy afternoon at Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. You know how airports are. People rushing to their gates, flight announcements booming over the speakers, families hugging goodbye, business travelers glued to their laptops, and children running around excited for their next adventure. I was just sitting there, sipping my coffee, scrolling through my phone, lost in my own world. But then something caught my attention. A voice, loud, angry, sharp, cut through the usual airport noise. At first I thought it was just another frustrated passenger upset over a delayed flight. It happens all the time, right? People arguing with airline staff, demanding better seats, complaining about baggage fees. But this was different. I looked up and saw her, a middle-aged white woman, probably in her 50s, dressed in designer clothes with an expensive-looking handbag. She had the air of someone who was used to getting her way, and she was furious. But it wasn't just normal frustration, no. The look in her eyes, the way her face twisted with rage, it was something deeper, something uglier. Then I saw who she was yelling at. A black woman, but not just any black woman. A pilot. She stood tall, proud and composed, dressed in her crisp uniform with captain's stripes on her shoulders. She had this presence about her, calm, confident, the kind of person who made you feel safe just by standing near her. But at that moment, she wasn't being treated with the respect she deserved. "You can't be the pilot," the woman snapped, her voice dripping with disgust. "There is no way you are flying this plane." My stomach twisted. My heart started pounding. I wasn't the only one who heard it. The entire gate area went quiet. People stopped what they were doing, some frozen in shock, others sneaking glances, some pulling out their phones to record. The pilot, however, didn't flinch. She stood her ground, her face unreadable, her posture steady. She had probably dealt with this before, too many times to count. "Ma'am," she said, her voice measured and professional, "I am the captain of this flight. If you are uncomfortable, you are welcome to speak with the airline about your options." Her words were calm, controlled, but I could hear the exhaustion underneath, the exhaustion of always having to prove herself. The exhaustion of knowing that no matter how many hours she put in, no matter how hard she worked, there would always be someone who refused to believe she belonged. But Karen, because let's be real, that's exactly what she was, wasn't backing down. "This is unacceptable," she shrieked. "I will not be flown by some diversity hire. I want a real pilot." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. My hands clenched around my coffee cup. I could feel the anger bubbling inside me, the kind of anger that comes from knowing this kind of thing happens all the time. The pilot's face remained unreadable, but I saw something flicker in her eyes, a brief flash of something. Pain, frustration, maybe just exhaustion. But she didn't give Karen the reaction she wanted. Instead, she took a deep breath, adjusted her sleeve, and said, "I graduated top of my class. I have been flying for over a decade. I have more flight hours than most of my peers. If that's not a real pilot to you, I don't know what is." I wanted to stand up and clap right then and there, but before anyone could react, before security could even intervene, something happened that took everyone by surprise. Karen swung, a full-force slap aimed right at the pilot's face. Gasps filled the terminal. People stood up, shocked. A security officer rushed forward. But the pilot, oh, she was ready. With the reflexes of someone trained to handle pressure, she dodged just in time. The slap missed by inches. And in that moment, everything seemed to slow down. The look on Karen's face, pure disbelief, like she couldn't fathom that the woman she had just tried to humiliate had the nerve to move out of the way. Security grabbed her instantly, pulling her back as she flailed, screaming nonsense about her rights and threatening to sue. And then, the moment that made my heart swell with pride. The pilot didn't break. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She simply smoothed her uniform, looked Karen dead in the eyes and said, "I earned my wings. What have you earned?" Silence. A silence so heavy you could feel it pressing down on everyone in that terminal. And then, applause. It started with just one person. A slow, steady clap. Then another, and another, until the entire gate area erupted into cheers. People stood up, clapping, whistling. Some even had tears in their eyes. Karen? She was taken away in handcuffs, still shrieking about lawsuits. But as it turned out, she wasn't just being removed from the airport, she was being banned from flying with that airline ever again. But the real moment that stuck with me? It was the little black girl sitting across from me, maybe 8 or 9 years old, holding her mom's hand. She was watching the pilot with wide eyes, pure admiration written all over her face. She tugged on her mom's sleeve and whispered, "Mommy, I want to be a pilot too." And her mom, eyes shining with pride, just squeezed her hand and said, "You can, baby, you will." Because that pilot, she wasn't just flying a plane that day. She was breaking barriers. She was proving that no amount of racism, no amount of ignorance, could take away what she had earned. And when that plane finally took off, soaring into the sky, it wasn't just metal and engines and fuel carrying it forward. It was her strength, her resilience, her refusal to be anything less than who she was meant to be. And that is the kind of power that changes the world. Hey everyone, if this story moved you, if it made you think, or if it reminded you why we need to keep having these conversations, please take a moment to like this video. It really helps spread awareness. I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop a comment below. Have you ever witnessed or experienced something like this? Let's talk about it. And if you believe stories like this deserve to be told, make sure to subscribe to the channel. We're here to share real, powerful stories that need to be heard. Lastly, share this with your friends and family. The more people who see this, the more we can bring awareness and change. Thank you for watching and being part of this journey. Let's keep pushing forward, together.